Okay, seatbelts, everyone. My name is Gail Marie Scott. I'm from Los Angeles, California area, and I am privileged to introduce Dr. Michael C. Grayson. When I met him, I was blown away. I said a black person, an engineer, and the knowledge and wisdom to help businesses and people like myself to have their credit to a point where we can actually do business. How many of you have business credit already and you're doing fine? Okay, I don't see a whole lot of hands. So that means somebody's going to be listening today. Be sure to text your friends, be sure to get a business card, and be sure to have an appointment made. We'll make appointments so that you can have a free consultation so that he can assist you with what you need. So let me just tell you who we're getting ready to talk with. And forgive me, I didn't print this out. We've been running all day. Dr. Michael C. Grayson, engineer and mathematician, is the founder of the Credit and Debt Management Institute, the founder of Grayson Newco Engineering and Aerospace Research and Development, that's another story, and the author of 5 books, including, most recently, How to Stop Making Payments and Extreme Credit. Why didn't I get my copy? Okay, I'll deal with him on that later. In 2014, the editors of Real Estate Wealth Magazine named him the world's leading credit expert. Dr. Grayson served as honorary chairman of the Business Advisory Council during the Bush administration. He has written expert papers for 2 presidents and has proven, but wasn't our last one, of course, obviously. He has provided his experience, his expertise to congressmen, General Motors, Ford Motors, and the Department of Justice, governors, mayors, billionaires, law firms, mega churches, the Mortgage Bankers Association, celebrities, professional athletes, and many more. Using his proprietary award-winning algorithm, Dr. Grayson currently holds all 3 credit industry records, including the highest recorded credit score, a mid score of 990. Okay? And you know what his email is? 990credit at gmail.com. I'm not mad at him. Okay? So, without further ado, please have your questions held till the end, write them down, text your friends, and let's give a warm welcome to Dr. Michael C. Grayson.
All right. I appreciate you guys having me here and taking part in this introductory course. This is part of a series I did for Congress. I was asked to speak on access to capital. So what we do as a company and what I teach across the country and some parts of the world is how to get to the money. So before you leave today, if you don't know how to access $1 million, you've missed the message. Okay, so I'm going to lay out a formula for you that we use. The reason I was on the cover of Wealth magazine was because they said I created more millionaires than anyone else in the country. And I did it simply by using the credit system. So today I want to give you some insight on the system. Okay, next slide. I have about 60 slides to go through, but I'm going to go through them quickly. Anything of central interest to you, you save them. We're going to take about 20 minutes of Q&A. Since we have a small group, then I can get right to your questions and answers. So we can make this more personal and something you can use right away. While he's loading up the PowerPoint, let's start with the recipe for perfect credit. I hope you guys got some pencil and paper. So your credit score has 5 components. What we do and what I teach is not credit repair. I'm not in the credit repair business. I'm in the access to capital business. I wrote the algorithm, and so you should know it takes an algorithm to beat an algorithm. There's 5 components to your credit score. The first component is your payment history. That is about 35% of your score. In order to get a perfect 35% in that category, you need 0 derogatory credit, ZDC, 0 derogatory credit. Because this is a FICO system, if you have a single blemish, a single late payment on any account, that entire account is bad. I don't care if you've had the account for 10 years. If you have a single late payment, the entire account is destroying your credit. It'll drop you up to 60 points with a single late payment. So the first thing you want to do when you're trying to boost your credit is to close off all negative activity. So simply by closing an account that has a single late payment, it instantly boosts your score. So you're going to close all the negative activity, and then you go through, and I'm going to show you how to clean those off of your credit. So number 1, you need 0 derogatory credit. Banks ask for that. To get money, you have to have that. So if you're applying for SBA loans or any other kind of funding and you're not getting it, it's probably because you don't have ZDC. Even if you have a good credit score, if you don't have ZDC, 0 derogatory credit, then getting money is an issue. You can get stuff, and they don't mind when you get stuff. They want you to buy a Bentley and drive around and lean in it. They want that. You can buy stuff, but getting money is what I'm about. I don't buy stuff, I get money, and the profit from my money gets my stuff. So, ZDC, number 2, and this is the biggest portion of your credit that no one really talks a lot about, is utilization. Utilization is 40% of your credit score. So I'm going to give you the top secret recipe for utilization. So everybody in this room should have 2 to 6 credit cards at 1 to 35%. So if you're sitting in this room right now, you can't reach in your wallet and pull out 2 credit cards, I already know you have bad credit. It doesn't matter if you own houses or cars. I know the world teaches you that credit cards are bad. That is not true. You cannot have perfect credit without them. You have to have at least 2. Some of you might just have 1. That is not enough. My goal is to get you to 800. 700 is nice, but I need you to have 800 because we're going to keep it 800. Okay? So you need 2 credit cards, but a maximum of 6 credit cards. If you have more than that, I know sometimes, ladies, when you're out shopping, and they give you a discount if you take their card. That is a trap. That's a trap. I had one of my clients who, she used to be Michael Jackson's manager. She had beautiful, flawless credit, 30 pages of credit, but she couldn't get her score out of the 600s. So when she came to me and I analyzed it, I said, this is the problem. She had 35 credit cards. Now they're all paid as agreed, 0 balances, but once you exceed 6, it starts destroying your score. So all I did was erase 29 cards, which is counterintuitive because who cleans positive credit? But simply that one stroke took her right to 800. So you have to have 2 to 6 credit cards. You have to keep your balances between 1 and 35%. Some of you, I know they're teaching you to pay your credit cards off. That is a trap. You have to keep at least 1%. I keep $20, $30 on every credit card every month, month in, month out. But you cannot exceed 35%. When you're issued a credit card has 2 limits. It has the max limit and the true limit. They only teach you the max limit. So if I give you a credit card for $1,000, the max limit is $1,000. That is not the true limit. The true limit is $350. As soon as you exceed $350, it destroys your credit. And that is a trap that they set for you. $350, the limit is 35%. They're going to teach you the max limit, not the true limit. So you can't exceed $350 on that $1,000 card for any reason. So if you do the first two things right, zero derogatory credit, and you have 1 to 35% on your utilization, you will be in the mid 700s just by doing two things right. You'll definitely cross 700, but you'll be in the mid 700s. So the other three components is what pushes you to the 800 credit score. So the third category is mix of credit. There's two kinds of credit. I want somebody to tell me what two kinds of credit there are. The algorithm is looking for two. Yes, sir.
I would like to say personal credit and business credit.
That's a good try.
Revolving
And then stop.
and,
Stop.
yeah, installment loan.
Beautiful. What's your name?
Sean.
Sean, y'all better stay close to Sean. Sean got it together. Yes, sir. The system is looking for two kinds of credit, revolving credit and installment credit. You have to have both, and there's a formula for both. So you have to have at least 5 positive active trade line activities. So some of you might have perfect credit, but you are successful, and so you're paying off all your credit. And your score is not growing, or you're not at 800, or you're not where you're supposed to be. I have one of my clients who is in the NFL. He's a multi-millionaire. He was investing in some real estate project, and for the first time in history, they said, hey, we need to see your credit score. He was like, you need to see my credit? I'm so and so and so. Look at my ring. Why do you need to look at my credit? He was in the 600s, so he thought because he was below 680, they were going to kick him off the project. Okay, so what I had to do, I looked at his credit, I instantly knew the problem. So he had 3 credit cards. One of them was a gold card, which he really liked. The other 2 he didn't use. So the one gold card, he used it for all his travel and expenses. And he maxed it out every month. It was like a $50,000 card. He'd max it out, but he would pay it the next month. The other 2 he didn't use. So that is a pure violation of the algorithm. So the 2 cards he didn't use, that hurts him, and the one he exceeded 35%. So it's not what you have. If you pay it off every month, you are not doing good. It's what you have at close of statement. So sometimes if I need a lot of money in my business, recently I had to raise $2 million very quickly. So I'm pulling from everywhere. On my credit cards, if the statement's closing on the 29th, which you call your bank and ask them, so on the 29th, I'm gonna pay down those credit cards, but on the 30th, after the statement closes, I'm gonna max them back out, right? Because a statement closing is what shows on the bureau. That gives me another 30 days to flip that money and pay those loans off, or pay those credit cards off. So that was his problem. So somebody tell me how I fixed his credit and got him to 800. He had 3 credit cards. How did we do it? Yes, ma'am.
Pay the high balance one before the statement closed. Used a little bit on the other card.
Excellent. What's your name?
Carla.
Carly?
Carla.
Carla said it exactly. It was a simple fix, and then within 30 days, he's again at 800. That made all the difference. So we paid down, he pays it off, but we paid it mostly down, his card that he liked. And I forced him, like most of my high net worth clients, I gotta force them to rotate their credit cards. Even for me personally. So I keep 6 credit cards, I keep them in 2 sets of wallets. I use one set to buy gas and food, and then once I've used all of them, then I'll switch to another wallet. But you have to force yourself to rotate your credit cards and keep the balances below 35%. You can't use one and, oh, I'm gonna pay it off next month. The system forces you to use the system. Even my father, he was old school. I'm gonna pay for everything in cash. But then when he finally retired and he wanted to buy his dream home, he was like, Doc, can you co-sign for me? No. Let me fix your credit. So if the system forces you to use the system. So you got to get credit cards. You have to use them every month and pay them the right way. Now they know it's like this. If I can get you to start using credit cards, you're going to exceed your means and max them out and get trapped. But that is where the system, we use the system. We don't let the system use us. So, third category is 10% of your score. That is your mix of credit. You have to have both installment and revolving accounts. So this is where it gets scary. You have to have 3 times as many installments as revolving. That is top secret formula stuff. So a lot of you have a lot of credit cards and you don't have enough installment activity. So some of my clients, I make them do loans even when they don't have money. If you're in business, you should be borrowing money every year. So no matter what, even when I'm doing well, I will borrow at least $500,000. Okay, I'll borrow at least $500,000 a year because I'm constantly increasing my credit capacity. So what has happened, and now the marketing is very good on this. So you're going to see this when you leave here and start using this principle. Once you exceed 720 credit score and you're constantly borrowing, creditors seek you out. So right now, every month, I get pre-approval letters from banks. It started, I was getting $2,000 approvals. It went to 5, then 10. Now I'm getting 50 and 100. The lowest pre-approval I get is 50,000. So what I do is I stack them up, and then when I need money, so recently I needed $2 million really quick. So I went, pulled out all those letters, and I actually did 25 loans. It took me 25 loans. Now they don't anticipate that when they're sending out all these pre-approvals, but again, I'm using the system. It's called multi-source lending. So if I went to a bank to borrow $2 or $3 million, listen, that is a problem. I don't care what my credit, they can Google me, it's still gonna be paperwork intensive because I'm a small business owner, right? Even, I don't know if you guys have done SBA. Sometimes that is a nightmare process. 6 months, right? I ain't got that long. I need $2 million next week. I'm on an engineering project and these guys say, hey, we gotta go in a different direction. We need $2 million next week. I gotta make it happen, okay? So you need to be in that position. So borrow money. I know you don't need no money right now. Borrow it, keep it for 6 months and pay it off. Borrow it, keep it 6 months and pay it off. So guess what? When somebody look at your credit, normally you only borrow money when you need it. And they look at your credit, it's like, wait a minute, he only borrowed $20,000 over the last 40 years, even though you have an excellent business. I'll give you an example. One of my clients owns a real estate company. He's doing about $650,000 a week, right? And he applied for a loan. He only got approved for 20 grand. And he was upset. He cussing and screaming. You saw my financials, but his biggest credit experience was $2,500. I said at $20,000, they're doing you a favor. They're reaching out, so you gotta constantly borrow. You gotta force yourself to get installment lines of credit. You need 3 times. So if you have 3 credit cards, you should have 9 active loans, installment loans, not lines of credit, installment loans. All right, I'm gonna jump right here onto the PowerPoint. Are you guys ready for me? Yes, sir. Okay, next slide. We're gonna skip through some of this. You guys can Google me, you can see who I've worked for. I did extra papers for presidents, You'll get all that celebrity clients, skip that. A lot of testimonials on the internet, keep going. Skip governor's website, keep going. Go. I want to get right down to that. Okay, so this is the power of what I do. This is what changes people's lives. I show you how to set up what's called a virtual credit bank. So when you leave here today, everybody in this room should have a virtual credit bank started. You ever try to start a bank or looking into starting a bank? Good luck with that strategy. That is a nightmare scenario. I ain't doing it. And I got a lot of contacts. I got a lot of banking friends. I got a lot of friends in high places. I ain't applying to start no bank. But I'm going to show you how to do a virtual credit bank, which you can have access as much capital as you want. So let's go to the next slide. So this is the formula for access to capital. So you guys should write this down. This is your only goal. You guys are with the chamber, so you're in the business of empowering. You need to share this slide with people you care about, with people in your organizations, people in your social media. You will not see this anywhere else. Nobody wants you to have access to capital, especially the folks sitting in this room. They might share this with some folk, they ain't gonna share it with you, okay? This is the way to do it. And I'm telling you, I do this every year. And this has bailed me out of every situation. Some of my clients call me right after COVID, they were crying because all their friends are going out of business, they can't get no money. All of my clients were already positioned to access money. So they're still accessing money in a down time. So the first thing is, you need to understand credit scoring. 620 is the minimum credit score that's considered performing credit. 620. If you have less than a 620 credit score in America, they're going to penalize you every time you use credit. They're going to destroy you with interest rate. Think about this. Somebody tell me what's the average interest rate for credit cards in America? 24.99. Are y'all crazy? Every card company offers a zero interest card. How are you paying 24%? I never pay interest on my credit cards. I carry $500,000 in my pocket at all times in credit cards at zero. How long does zero interest last on your credit card, somebody? 18 months, right? Every 18 months I change my credit cards. Let me tell you what just happened to me in Capital One. And I've been with them for a long time. So my Capital One, they put me on their card and they gave me 100K. A lot of cards, there's a lot of 100K cards right now. There's a lot of them. You know, there's 5 companies. If you need the list, contact one of my assistants, we'll send you a list. There's a lot of 100K cards. You need at least 2 or 3 of those. So Capital One, my 18-month zero was wearing out. So I called them up, I said, hey, you know, I'm about to revert to normal rates. Will you extend the zero interest program that I'm on? What did they say? No. Of course they said no, because they think I'm crazy. You think I've been at 0% for 18 months, I'm gonna now let you flip me to 18.9? You must be smoking. That is not gonna happen. So what did I have to do? I canceled my Capital One card. And I like them, and it's 100K. You know, I canceled it. Guess what happened 2 weeks later?
They called you.
They sent me a pre-approved zero interest card. You gotta understand their mentality. They're not gonna convert it for you because they don't wanna set that precedent. But they don't want to lose you as a client either, because they always want that chance that you will slip up and pay them that 18%. How are you paying average 24%? That is unheard of in a zero interest environment. Every 18 months, like clockwork, you should be flipping your cards. Okay, yes ma'am.
Does that not impact your credit age? I know that's a smaller percentage.
Yep. That does. Excellent. What's your name? Erica. Erica said, doesn't that impact your age? Yes. Hold on to that question. We're going to keep going. So, I'm sorry, I didn't finish the 5 components. So the second component was inquiries. In order to get money, you have to have less than 6. And then the fifth, and that's 10% of your score. The fifth category that Erica asked about is the length of credit history. Okay? Everybody's talking about this. Because everybody, when I bring up flipping by cars, they're like, Doc, what about my length of credit history? I'm not talking about you, Erica. I like you. What about my length of credit history? Guess what? How long, your length of credit history is only 5% of your score. Right? It's 5%. So guess what? 95%, right now the max age score is 850. They changed it after I hit 990. They made the maximum 850.
That's right.
So if you got 95% of 850, so you're clocking in around 845, can you still get some stuff done? In my church, we have a teen credit ministry. As soon as our teens turn 18, 6 months later, they all have 750 credit score.
Come on now. Come on.
All of them. We give them 5 credit cards because payment history is only 5%. I ain't even thinking about that. Not payment history, I'm sorry. Length of credit history. If it's 6 months old, it scores, I'm at 750. One of our teens in our ministry, he had an 820 credit score, 19. But he was very industrious. So he wanted to go buy his first car. He don't need no cosigner. He didn't tell his parents. He just rolled into the Toyota dealership with an 820 credit score, picked out his car. He had his down payment saved up. And they're like, yeah, we got you. We're gonna put you in the finance. You know what they was really doing? They called the feds. Because they said they thought he had stole somebody's credit identity. They called the feds. Fed showed up, he called me. Listen, the deal they cut him ultimately on that car, they almost gave it to him because they were so embarrassed. That's his credit. Look at his report. That's his credit. But you can have that one, because length of credit history, and that's an excellent point that Erica brought up. She is on her game. We don't worry about that. Because I only need you to get to 800. I don't need you to get to 850. Some of my clients, oh, we gotta have 850, Doc. That's because they just want to brag. We business people, we need 800 credit score. All right, so 620 credit score is performing. 680 is the minimum to do business with the government. A lot of you guys are applying for contracts. You know, if you do business with the city of New York, you're applying for contracts. There's a lot of minority set aside monies and projects. This is the problem. You qualify, but if you don't have 680, you will never get it. Some of you might not be getting contracts and you don't know why. You have to be at 680 minimum. I did a workshop for the Department of Defense. All of their executive teams had to take my course because in the Department of Defense, if you drop below 680, they do random credit checks. If you drop below 680, you have 90 days to fix your credit or you will be terminated because they feel like you're having potential to be bribed. You have a credit or finance problem. So 680 is a major number for the government. But the number that's important to you is 720. If you own a business, you cannot be less than 720 because that is the number to get money. This is the only thing you should be telling them. Do not operate a business at less than 720. Whatever you think you're doing, stop. No matter what business you're in, and this is how I empower our clients. I remind every business owner this. No matter what business you're in, what business are you in? Government contracting. Listen, he's in government contracting. No matter what business you're in the credit business. No matter what business you're in the credit business. Every one of my businesses, I sit down, I look at their business plan or business model, and I tell them, let's insert credit. How are you operating a business and you haven't planned on how to build your business credit? I know you're going to follow this business plan and you're going to sell this much over this many years and you're going to make this much profit, but what happens when you don't? If you build credit into your business model, whether you're successful or not, you have access to capital. Let me tell you this, if you throw enough money at any business, eventually you are going to get there. Let me prove it to you. I was looking at this commercial. This guy was selling this blanket a couple years back called Snuggle Blanket. Have you seen that? A blanket with 2 arms in it. That's a roll! That's a roll! This dude made millions. How are y'all sitting here not multi-millionaires? This dude's selling a roll. That's upsetting. You who are in this room are endowed with, I guarantee you, if I sat down with every person in this room, you have an idea or an invention that will make you a billionaire. I guarantee you. The only reason you're not there is because they have cut you off of capital. They've confounded you with misinformation. So, 720, you gotta have it. Less than 35% credit to debt. You have to have ZDC, less than 6 inquiries. If you can just do those things, I can get you a minimum of $250,000 personally, $500,000 for your business. That is the minimum number. So if you're sitting in this room currently and you need at least, if you need $750,000, it takes me about 2 weeks to do that. If you have those things. I can max out at around $3 million per person. Every American, if you hit 720 credit score, you are a millionaire. You just don't know it. They ain't never gonna tell you that. Listen, they have created a whole system to keep you away from 720. This is what they tell you. I see them advertise all the time. Good credit, bad credit, come on down to Bondage Motors, got a car for you. Bankruptcy, repo, we don't care. That's what they're programming you with. That's what they're programming your youth. I don't want no parts of that. I can't breathe unless I'm at 800. Y'all should see me in my office cussing and screaming if my score dips below 800. I'm not the right person because I can't breathe. It feels like I'm drowning. Because when problems come up, and I'm a black businessman, problems always come up. You know what I'm saying? Something always going wrong. You can't imagine the wrong stuff that goes on. So I need access to capital. I can't let money slow me down because I got to get where God wants me to go, right? So, next slide, please. This is the problem. Once you realize that every individual in America can access $250,000, now it gets scary because now it's a function of math. So let's say somebody just hit you to a real estate investment, you need $2 million, and you're looking like $2 million, you might as well $20 million. 30, 40, what would get $2 million? No. What you should be thinking is, I got 720 score, I can do 250. I also have 5 other friends with 720. Together, we could probably get 2 million in 2 weeks. Do you understand how I changed the dynamic for our businesses? Every church that we're in partnership with, they have a credit ministry with at least 10 people that have 800 credit score. So at any point in time, if the pastor has a vision from God and he needs $5 million, he activates the credit ministry. All of my small businesses, I have one of my clients in Hollywood who does straight to DVD movies. It costs him $650 per movie. And so he was doing like 1 a year, and he had a contract with Netflix to buy him for $2 to $3 million. So that's a nice profit model, but he's only doing 1 or 2 a year. I set him up with an RFN, and if I told you who he was now, you would go crazy. But it's access to capital. This is called a reciprocating financial network. Next slide. Okay, so I looked on the internet and said that the National Black Chamber has 100,000 plus businesses. So if you decided today that, hey, we are going to do some radical things, we're going to shift this dynamic, we're going to empower businesses at a level that people have never imagined before. And we're not gonna say 2 weeks, over the next month, we're gonna make sure at least half of our businesses are over 720. If you just did that for half, you can't do 100%, because the Bible said the poor is always gonna be among us. So my goal is just 50%. If I can get 50%, that means your organization has access to or empowered $10 billion minimum. It will max out around 50B. Next month. Next month. That's without, I don't have to wait for grants. I ain't got to hassle with the SBA. Just driven off credit alone, you could mobilize $10 billion. Next slide. All right, keep going. Let's skip to, okay, skipped it. Okay. All right. So the focus has got to be now, how, Dr. Gracious, do we get to 720? We got the formula, but some of us have credit problems. If you're a small business owner, entrepreneur, I know you got credit blemishes. How do we clean that up? So before we talk about how to do it the right way, I want you to see how to do it the wrong way. Currently, if you have a credit or debt problem, the #1 solution set in this country is consumer credit counseling. If you join consumer credit counseling, they tell you it's going to cost you $600 to $3,000 per month. It's going to take 3 to 7 years to fix your credit. It's called consumer credit counseling. Has anybody, millions enroll every year, has anybody ever met somebody that went into consumer credit counseling and came out with good credit? Wait a minute, millions enroll every year. Somebody came out with good credit, right? After 3 to 7 years on their program, what are you left with? You're broke and you got bad credit. What the?
Right.
You're broke and you have bad credit. Next slide. I looked at some of these contracts, and this is the problem though. I'm gonna throw the blame at your doorstep, because these guys are not lying to you, they allow you to lie to yourselves. Go online and Google a consumer credit counseling services contract. I Googled it, I couldn't believe it that people sign this thing. If you look at it, it tells you that with respect to creditors, it says, I understand that they might increase my finance charges, fees, or penalties imposed by creditors, which may increase my overall indebtedness. So you're signing up for these guys, right? Thank you. You're signing up for these guys to solve your debt problems, and they just increased your indebtedness, right? Oh, let's keep going. I'm gonna skip, but basically it says, you understand that this program is gonna hurt your credit. They told you, this is what you're doing. This is why I tell my clients, I want you to understand what you're doing. When you sign up for these programs, you are buying bad credit. Some of you really love bad credit, because you pay good money for it. You spend $600 to $3,000 per month, and you did it for 3 to 7 years. You love that bad credit. I love my bad credit.
Right.
Next slide.
Too much headspace. Way too much.
All right, next, keep going. Debt consolidation, bankruptcy 13, same crap. Keep going. Credit repair. Listen, credit repair. I know there's thousands of companies out there with credit repair promising you all kind of crap. But credit repair is a problem for you. If they are very good, so in the credit repair industry, what they do is they dispute your derogatories, right? Everybody knows that. How do they dispute it? Anybody know? What do they tell the credit bureaus about that derogatory credit? It's not mine. Oh, so y'all know. I thought there was some Christians in this room. You know that bad Macy's card is yours. Why are you letting them say that's not mine? You know that is yours. 99.99% of bad credit is yours. So why are you letting people say it's not mine? Because guess what happens? Let's say they're very good. They cleanse all your credit. You got a 700 credit score, and then you buy something with that credit. They have a name for that. Guess what it's called? Guess what that name is? Bank fraud. If you default on the new loans and they go back and find that you did credit repair, you'll get minimum 2 years. I've had a couple clients in that position. You get 2 years. What we had to do was go back to each creditor and guarantee them payment. That's the only way to keep them from getting locked up. It's bank fraud. If you get it removed by saying it's not yours when it really is yours, that's fraud. Okay? So we don't want to be in the fraud business because we want God in our business. We want to prosper at another level. You can't do it apart. Next slide. I want you guys to do this. If you jot this down, go on YouTube, put in Lexington Law YouTube commercial. So when you pull up this commercial, you will see them with their best client. Now they told you that their best client, it took them 4 years to get him to 700. So I gotta say this, Lexington Law ain't lying to you. You sign up and you like, I'm gonna have perfect credit in a couple months. That's not what they told you. They told you, I'm only gonna remove erroneous items from your credit. That's errors. So if you can look at your credit and say that all that stuff is an error, then that is the company for you. But realistically, if it's not an error, they cannot help you. And they didn't lie to you. Google this. The top 2 credit repair firms in the country, Lexington Law and CreditRepair.com, are currently under indictment by the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau for fraud. If the top 2 are committing fraud, what's everybody else doing? Keep going, please. This is one of our records. So our best client, their best client took them 4 years to get them to 700. Our best client, we took them from 597 to 850 in less than 30 days. Next. Woo. The most deletions in a single dispute. This client, we removed 73 derogatory items in a 30-day dispute. Keep going. Keep going. This is the highest credit score recorded in the world. Gail just said the United States. 990, middle score. Keep going. Keep going. In the year 2000, the Fair Isaacs Company introduced the FICO credit scoring system. From that day forward, credit repair has been minimally effective because they put in optical character readers. These guys have sophisticated algorithms to track credit repair and shut it down. That is why, don't be mad at your credit repair friends and companies. They're trying. Next slide. What they should be using is rapid restructure. That's what I want to introduce you to today. We don't do credit repair, we do rapid restructure. It's 100% legal, and it only takes 3 to 6 months to get to perfect credit. Next slide. The next time you talk to somebody and they say they're in the credit repair business, I want you to think of this slide. They can't help it. They used to be alive. They used to be relevant. They don't know that their industry is dead. Feel sorry for them. It's all right. They trying. They just don't have the skills. Next slide. The first thing you got to know, leaving here, there's two kinds of debt. Good debt and bad debt. The trick is the industry has you paying bad debt. You're an American citizen. As an American, you should only pay good debt. Next slide. Next slide. Three kinds of good debt. Good debt is anything you're less than 3 months past due. Once you're more than 3 months past due, it is a wrap. It's a wrap. I don't care how much you like that credit card. It's a wrap. Shut it down. Close the account. You only pay debts that are less than 3 months past due. If it's secured, like a mortgage or auto, or if it's a government-based debt, like student loans and child support, which we'll show you how to handle that. Next slide, bad debt. Everything else is a bad debt. So good debts we pay, bad debts we filter. Good debts we pay, bad debts we filter. Next slide. Keep going. What does filter mean, Dr. Grayson? Currently in America, actually now there's 50. It's a system of 50 laws and programs that clean your credit and eliminate your bad debt up to 90% without payment, bankruptcy, consumer credit counseling, debt consolidation, legally and permanently using two things. If you don't remember nothing else I said today, I want you to remember these two things. Cancellation and forgiveness. I'm gonna give you a choice. What's your name, sir?
Robert.
Robert, you have an old medical bill that you didn't pay, $800. I'm gonna give you a choice. You could either pay it, file bankruptcy, or you could have it canceled and forgiven. What's your choice? Cancel and forgiveness. Okay? So if you have a current bad debt or credit problem, there is a debt filter for every one of them. So how do you fix it? You simply Google whatever the problem, student loan problem, cancellation and forgiveness, and find the cancellation program or forgiveness program for that problem. That is it. You don't pay bad debt, you cancel and forgive it. Keep going. Next. So, I'm sorry, go back. There you go. I see how y'all looking at me. You're like, wait a minute, Dr. Grayson. Where y'all get him from? He just told me that the government has a program to cancel and forgive all my bad credit, bad debt. Right? Why in the world would the government do that? Right? Why would they do it? Next slide. Because God says so. I hear y'all laughing. Next slide. This country was founded by religious fanatics. Our forefathers were serious about religion. So when they structured our government, they based it off biblical principle. So debt filtration is in the Bible. I'm going to give you the scriptures. Test it with somebody you know. This is Luke 7:41-42. A certain creditor had two debtors. One owed 500 denarii, the other 50. When they could not pay, he did what?
Cancel both of them.
What was the only requirement? He couldn't pay. That is it. If you can't pay, we will cancel. Okay, that's scripture 1. Scripture 2, Deuteronomy 15:2. Write this down and share it with the people who love. It says, at the end of every 7 years, you shall grant a remission of debts. This is the manner of the remission. Every creditor shall release what he has loaned to his neighbor. He shall not exalt it of his neighbor or his brother. So in America, every 7 years, what happens to your credit?
Renewed.
It's reset. You probably thought that was just arbitrary. They got it from the Bible. God told them to do it. That's the structure you just don't know. Next slide. Second reason, capitalism said you have to. Next slide. In this country, home and car sales drive the economy. So when I wrote the expert paper for President Bush and Obama, it was about leading economic indicators being bounded by the credit system. So after reading my treatise, President Obama gave his national address to Congress. Next slide. Oh yeah, okay, I got it. So if you go to YouTube, you put in President Obama address to the joint sessions of Congress. This was the first time in history a president explained the debt system in America. Nobody else wants you to know. But President Obama, one of the things I explained to him, which he said in this video, no matter how much money you throw at the economy, it doesn't matter. I don't care how much. You can have $1 trillion program to do this $1 trillion program. So in this video, he starts off by mapping out how his administration is going to spend trillions of dollars, and then he stops and says, listen, if we don't do the next thing right, that thing ain't going to matter. And this is what he said, quote, the concern is that if we do not restart lending in this country, our recovery will be choked off before it begins. You see, the flow of credit, personal credit, is the lifeblood of our economy. The ability to get a loan, how you finance purchases, everything from a home to a car, college education, blah, blah, blah. When there's no lending, families can't afford to buy what? Homes and cars. This administration is moving swiftly and aggressively to break this destructive cycle. If you need credit to buy a house and a car, how can they move to stop this destructive cycle? There's only one way: to help you fix your credit and get out of debt. Fixing your credit and getting out of debt is not your job. It's the government's job. That's why I pay taxes.
Come on.
I pay my taxes with a smile because, listen, I get every dollar's worth out. Uncle Sam might be smiling when he get my check, but guess what? I have gotten my money's worth out of Uncle. I've gotten my money's worth. We're going to get you to get your money's worth. Next slide. Okay, so I want you to test what I'm saying. I don't want you to believe it, I want you to test it. So, top 3 debts in this country: mortgages, student loans, and credit cards. So, if what I'm saying is true, you in this class, you want to find the debt filter to fix your bad mortgages. What should you Google? Somebody? Mortgages, cancellation, and forgiveness, right? You need to find the answer to your student loan problem. What do? Cancellation and forgiveness. It is impossible to have a student loan debt problem in America. It is impossible. Does anybody believe that statement?
Not yet.
Okay. Next slide then. I'm about to drop the next slide on you. Okay. If you Googled mortgages, cancellation, forgiveness, you would find the Mortgage, what? Forgiveness Debt Relief Act of 2007. That's how we make those problems disappear. Next slide. This is a big one. If you Google, because a lot of students, I started crying. I saw an article that said African American students who are at the top of their class were turning down Ivy League educations because they were afraid of student loan debt. That's crazy. Somebody obviously has not explained the system to our students. It is impossible to have a student loan debt problem in America. Let me prove it to you. So, you Google student loan cancellation forgiveness, you will find the Obama Student Loan Forgiveness Act. I'm going to read some of this stuff for you. It says that new borrowers will also be eligible for student loan forgiveness after 20 years. I know y'all saying, listen, one of my clients said that to me. He's like, Doc, I like what you're saying, but that's 20 years from now. Okay, so let's keep reading. You don't seem that excited about that. Let me keep reading. It says, there's 4 programs here. We put all of our clients in the ICR program. Do not be distracted by the other programs. Those are smoke and mirror. Every single client, like clockwork, that comes to us, we put them in ICR. That is the trick. A lot of people do IDR, that's a trap. ICR. Why am I doing the ICR program? Let's read. It says, borrowers in the ICR program can have a payment as low as what? You know what, Doc? I can afford that. $0.0 a month, I think I can do that. If your payment is $0 a month, do you have a student loan problem?
No, sir.
Yeah, you gotta renew it every year, but can you do that? I can do it once in a year. I can do that for 20 years. I had one of my clients is a dentist, a big dentist in Atlanta. He had some problems. His student loan's $350,000. He fell behind. I put him in the ICR program. His payments came out $5 a month, not $0, but $5 a month. He said, Doc, how long I gotta pay this 20 years? I said, what'd you say? Hold on. Let me get this straight. You saying I took your $350,000 loan, you paid $5 a month times 12, that's $60 a year for 20 years. That's $1,200 you're gonna pay on $350,000. Well, you say you got a problem with that? I thought so. You feel me?
Yes, sir.
Please teach your students this. You have an organization that reaches 100,000, which will reach 100 million. Please teach your students this. I ain't afraid of student loan debt. Listen, I love school. I stayed in to get my doctorate. I'm trying to get back. I am not afraid of student loan debt. I need a couple more doctorates, right? Next slide. This is your problems. You refuse to stay in your lane. Next slide. I want you guys, I hope you can see this. This is the most important thing I'm going to teach you tonight. Your job as a citizen is to use the credit and debt system, access capital, and create debt. A lot of you are afraid of debt. You're afraid of it. You're in businesses. You talking about burning mortgages and you're scared of debt. I pay everything in cash. Are you kidding me? Listen, if we have time, ask me how you can live in your house for free with a 720 credit score. I'm gonna show you today. You better not, nobody in this room, pay a mortgage after tomorrow. You better not. I dare you. But let's keep going. God has a plan for your life. He has implanted you with everything that you need already. You just gotta follow the script. Now I know sometimes you access the system and you end up with bad credit, heavy debt. No problem. 80% of you fall off the graph at that point. You file for bankruptcy, you call the debt collectors and try and settle. You all over the place. What you should have did was do like 20% of you, activate the proper government debt filtration program, eliminate your debt, rebuild your credit instantly, and then start all over. Do you know how many times I've been on that side of the equation? Listen, I have eliminated so much debt, the credit bureaus got mad at me. Equifax said, I ain't gonna let you do this again, Dr. Grayson. You keep borrowing all this money and then filtering all this debt and bouncing back with 800 credit score. We mad at you. So they sabotaged my credit. So this is what I want you to do. I want you to Google Dr. Grayson versus Equifax. They hired the most powerful law firm in the country, Safer than Shaw. I'm doing it without an attorney, and I'm whooping their butt.
That's right.
I was talking to the mediator the other day. He said, if they don't settle with you, they're stupid. I'm suing them for $250 million.
That's right.
It's the largest pro se litigation in history, and they can't win.
That's right. Get your money.
They thought they knew more about credit than I did. Next slide. All right, real quick, we don't have a lot of time left, so I just want to show you a couple of these things. Let's skip that. Let's go to something easier. Next slide, please. Okay, I want you to see this so you know this is real. I want you to touch it. Every time you stop paying a debt for more than 120 days, your creditor gets paid from the IRS. How you don't know that? Yo, it's the chamber, right? You ever heard of a 1099-C? Okay, what is it? What is a 1099-C? Say that again?
Supposed to cancel.
It's a cancellation of debt. You already know it. It's a cancellation of debt. Why are you still trying to pay debts that are canceled? Y'all are crazy. Y'all taking your kids' college fund, your retirement fund, and you paying debts that have been canceled. Can you sell a debt that's been canceled? Can you in America? Can you sell it to a creditor, a collection agency?
If they buying.
Can you sell a collection that has been canceled? Somebody?
Yes.
No, it is illegal. It has never happened. It's never happened. Can you hire somebody to collect the debts that have been canceled? No, it is illegal. The debt's been canceled. Read the 1099-C. It says cancellation of debt. It says amount of debt canceled so you don't get it twisted. The debt was canceled. So let's see if you're getting what I'm saying. You got a bad credit card from American Express. You know you didn't pay, but you remember you had fun with that card, right? What's your name, ma'am?
Lois.
Lois is smiling. I know Lois had one of them. Lois, you didn't pay it for 120 days. They charged it off, sent it to collections. You were thinking about paying before you came to this class. But now that you've come to the class, you got these collection letters at home. What, if you really wanted to try to pay them, what is the first question you should ask this creditor?
What will you settle for?
Has the debt been canceled? That is all I do. That's how I fix your credit. The law says that they're supposed to send you a 1099-C. Do they? No, because they know you understand what the word cancel means. Are you going to pay a debt that's been canceled? No. So the only question you need to ask of that creditor is what? A nice way of saying it is, have you issued a 1099-C? Don't say, has the debt been canceled? Because they're going to be like, oh, there go that Dr. Grayson again. You know, we got to get that Negro. He's spreading all too much information out there. So please don't say that. Just say, has there been a 1099-C issue? Here's my correct address. Send it to me. I can handle it from there. Can you handle it from there?
Gotta know it.
All right, keep going. Let's see if I got time for one more. Okay. So this client had a credit card with Chase Bank, $35,000. He did not pay, right? So we use the same methodology. I want to show you the response you will get. It says here, this is from the Vice President's office at Chase. So I didn't call them or send them a lie and say, oh, that's not her account. This is the Vice President of Chase. He got a computer, right? So that lie ain't gonna work but so far, okay? So it says, I have confirmed the account charged off as a loss to the bank due to severe delinquency on May 30th, 2008. So they know you ain't pay. You know y'all ain't right. You know you ain't pay, okay? And it was placed with collection agency Philip Cohen Associates in March 2010. The account was placed with Creditor Financial in 2010 and placed with North Star Location Services. What should strike you as unusual about that?
All the placement after cancellation.
Huh? They took the same debt and sent it to 3 people. So you got 4 people collecting on the same debt, and y'all crazy enough to try to pay them. But you should also realize this, you know the debt is not real because if it was real, you can't sell the same debt to 3 collection agencies. And you know they're not gonna hire 3 people to collect the debt that they can't collect. People, come on. Come on. They're not lying to you, you're lying to yourself. Let's keep reading though. It says, Mr. Hansley, I've also confirmed we have updated our records to do what? Cease all collection efforts. You better. You got one of my letters. You better cease, because you know I'm coming for you, right? So they ceased collection efforts. There will no longer be any payments due. Understand, when a bank cancels a debt, blah, blah, blah. In addition, we have requested the credit agencies do what? Delete this account from your credit. I didn't lie to the credit bureaus and say that's not mine. I make the creditors clean your credit. I don't clean your credit. The creditors do it because it shouldn't have been there in the first place. You took the IRS money from my Uncle Sam. What you doing? Technically, if you put it on my credit, that is a collection activity. So what you collected? You canceled the debt, right? All right, I'm gonna shut it there. Unfortunately, this is about a 12-hour class, so if you guys are interested, we could work something out and do longer sessions and more information, but for now, I'm gonna take whatever questions you have for the next 15 minutes. Anybody questions? Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. First of all, thank you very much.
I appreciate it.
You mentioned payment history.
Yes.
Utilization.
Yes.
Mix of credit.
Yes.
You mentioned the 5th one was liquor history. What is number 4?
Inquiries.
Inquiries.
You have less than 6 inquiries to access capital. Once you exceed 20 inquiries, you lose 5 points apiece. 5 points apiece. Excellent question. Yes. Yes, sir.
So if I'm at 750 trying to get to 800,
yes,
there is something that I am absolutely doing wrong.
Yes. Beautiful. You are. That's why you're my man. So write this down. If you have a 500 credit score, if you're in the 500s, you have a derogatory credit problem. You're gonna use this on your friends. They're gonna think you magic or something. You tell them to tell you their score, they're gonna tell you what, you're gonna tell them what their problem is. If they're in the 500s, they got truly bad credit. If you're in the 600s, you have a credit card problem. There's something wrong with your credit card. Your utilization is bad, you got too many, too few, too many zero balances. If you're in the 700s, you have a mix of credit problem. So to answer his question, you need more installment activity. Primarily houses or cars. Houses drive you to the 850, okay? Excellent. Next question. Yes, ma'am.
What about when you have a creditor and they send you to the courts?
The courts, you know what? That is actually, you do me a favor, advance a couple things for me. Can you, can someone push a couple slides for me? Yeah, come on. There you go. Look how psychic you are. That was really the next slide we were getting ready to go into. I wanted y'all to see what y'all look like when y'all don't handle these collections the right way. You know I ain't lying. That's why she asked that question. That's what y'all look like. So, here, let me, the best way to answer that, let's go one more slide. Okay, here you go. So, this is a collection letter. So, this system is based on fraud. So, every collection letter is it's a self-endorsing contract. It is not a collection letter, it's self-endorsing contract. So there's two kinds of debt. There's technical debt and legal debt. So if you have the legal standard for debt, then it's real debt. Everything else is a technical debt. Let me give you an example. Everybody in this room, they told you this class was free, right? No, it ain't. I'm charging y'all $1,000 a piece. Everybody in this room now owe me $1,000. Can I get my money? You shaking your head, give me my money? So, anybody can say anybody owe them money. Anybody. Anybody can say that. Now, the law says if you put it in writing, you have to inform them that this is not a real debt, that it is a technical debt. So every technical debt must have this statement. Unless you notify this office within 30 days after receiving this notice that you dispute the validity of any debt or of this debt or any portion thereof, we will assume it to be valid. So, again, they're telling you this is not real, right? You don't see this on your Macy's bill or your water bill. It's only on technical debts. Now, let me show you how insidious this system is. So, this letter is designed, it's called a throwaway in the industry. It comes from millions of dollars of research. So they designed it so you throw it away. So, the first thing you see is NCO Financial Systems. Who is that? Do you know them? So why are you trying to pay them? Think how crazy y'all are. Y'all is crazy. Imagine in the middle of the night, somebody come knocking on your door. Hey, and they looking kind of shaky, lips kind of dry. They kind of shaking a little bit. Hey, you know that $50 you owe your uncle? He said, pay me. Are you going to really reach in your wallet and pay this person you don't even know, looking kind of suspect? No, at least you would call your uncle and say, hey, who is this? Right? It says the creditor is Barclays Bank of Delaware. So if Barclays Bank turned it over to them, why didn't they call you and tell you that? Right?
Right. Yeah.
You're still trying to pay him. But let's read this though. It says, the named creditor placed this account with our office. What does that mean? Does that mean they sold it to them? Come on. Not necessarily. Does it mean they hired them to collect the debt? Could. No, it can't. It means exactly what it says. It was placed. I don't know how the hell it got there. It was placed in our office. They're not lying to you, you're lying to yourself. You're like, maybe they sold it to them. Maybe they hired them to collect it. Somebody said maybe. That is what you're lying to yourself. They told you the truth. I don't know how it got here. Let's keep reading though. If you choose not to respond to this notification, we will assign your account to a collector with instructions to collect the balance. They told you the truth. They said, if you don't respond properly, we will collect. Why are they waiting 30 days? Let's see if y'all get it. I'm gonna wrap with this, so I need you to get it. Why are they waiting 30 days for you to respond?
They hope you respond.
Do they hope you to respond? No. Why are they waiting 30 days for you to not to respond? Because when you first got the collection letter, you owed nobody any money. After 30 days of non-response, you have created a debt where none exists. Now that you have created this new debt, I can take you to court and sue you for the new debt. I ain't suing you for the old debt. It's already been canceled. Just like now, I'm sending all y'all, make sure I get everybody's contact information. I'm sending y'all a bill. And y'all, half of y'all better pay me. Y'all pay these folk. You hear me? That is the system. So listen, so I'm gonna wrap with this. So I got my 3 assistants here today. They got some business cards for you. If you want, like we set up lunch and learns, if you want to learn more, we can set that up. If you need some help, you need to get the 800 credit score very quickly, we got help for you. If you have 800 and you can use a $500,000 over the next 2 weeks, you let our staff know, we can do that for you too. I appreciate y'all.